Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, so you never miss a play. There are moments in sports when the noise becomes louder than the truth. When narratives take on a life of their own and logic gets lost in the chaos of frustration. That's exactly what's happening right now in Washington, where the Commanders have spiraled from early season optimism into full-blown crisis mode after their fifth straight loss, this time to the Detroit Lions, sitting at 3-7. The team that once whispered about Super Bowl possibilities now looks like a locker room, searching for answers, and as fans grow restless, the blame game has officially taken over. Coaches, coordinators, quarterbacks, receivers, nobody has been safe, but there's one name being tossed around far too recklessly, and it's time we talk about it, Terry McLaurin, because honestly, this whole narrative that he's somehow part of the problem might be one of the most misguided takes floating around the NFL right now. Let's rewind for a second. Before the season even kicked off, McLaurin's situation was already under the microscope. The off-season contract drama with general manager Adam Peters became prime content for sports talk shows and social media debates. Every day it was another update. Will Terry show up? Is he unhappy with the front office? What does this mean for the Commanders' locker room? The holdout dragged on just long enough to make fans nervous. But it ended before week one, seemingly resolving the issue, yet somehow, months later, that entire episode has been twisted into part of the blame narrative for why Washington is losing. It's as if people forgot that contract disputes are part of the business, and that elite players, especially those who've carried a franchise through lean years, deserve to fight for their value. But when the team starts losing, suddenly, the same player who once symbolized loyalty and grit becomes the easy target. Then came the injuries, 2 of them, to be exact. McLaurin's 2025 campaign has been a frustrating stop-start ordeal just for games played. Flashes of brilliance overshadowed by setbacks that kept him off the field. And that's when the online theories started to swirl. Fans began connecting imaginary dots. He must have gotten hurt because of the holdout. He wasn't in game shape. He's not leading like he used to. These are the kinds of narratives that only exist because people need an explanation that fits their frustration. They need someone to blame. And it's easier to pin the downfall on a familiar face than to confront the uncomfortable reality that the problems run much deeper. The madness hit another level when rumors started spreading that McLaurin wasn't even showing up to games. That's right, some fans were actually claiming he wasn't present for the Commanders' matchups against Seattle and Detroit. It was an absurd claim, one that was quickly debunked, but not before it caught fire online. The situation got so ridiculous that quarterback Jayden Daniels' own mother, MZ Jackson, had to step in and set the record straight on social media. She literally posted that McLaurin was there at both games, and that he even went into the locker room when Jayden got hurt. When family members of players have to intervene just to squash baseless rumors, you know the discourse has jumped the shark. That's how toxic and misinformed the conversation around McLaurin has become, and honestly, it's baffling. Because if there's one player who has earned the benefit of the doubt in Washington, it's Terry McLaurin. Since he entered the league, he's been the picture of consistency in a franchise that's known more for turmoil than triumph. He's played under multiple head coaches, worked with a revolving door of quarterbacks, and endured front office chaos that would have broken lesser players. Through it all, McLaurin has been the heartbeat of the team, the quiet leader, the professional, the guy who just shows up and produces no matter what's going on around him. To now see fans turn on him because of injuries and conspiracy theories is not only unfair, it's downright disrespectful. The reality is, McLaurin's absence isn't what's sinking the Commanders. Their problems start at the top and trickle all the way down. The defense, once expected to be a strength under Joe Witt Jr., has been a liability, forcing head coach Dan Quinn to step in and make changes mid-season. The offensive line can't protect, the run game lacks rhythm, and the young quarterback, while promising, has had moments of rookie inconsistency. None of those issues can be pinned on a wide receiver recovering from injury, and yet, in the social media age, perception often outweighs logic. One bad stat line, one missed game, and suddenly the internet is ready to rewrite the entire narrative of a player's career. It's also important to remember that injuries happen every year. Elite athletes who train harder than anyone else go down with injuries that no amount of preparation could have prevented. Football is a violent, unpredictable sport. It's built on contact, chaos, and luck, or the lack of it. To blame McLaurin's injuries on his holdout or his conditioning is to ignore basic reality. These things happen, and they can happen to anyone, if anything. The fact that McLaurin has tried to stay involved, showing up on the sidelines, supporting teammates, and mentoring young players should be a sign of his leadership, not an indictment of it. But let's talk about leadership for a second, because that's another part of this narrative that's been twisted beyond recognition. There's this weird obsession in sports media with vibes and locker room energy. If a team's losing, someone must have ruined the vibe. It's such a lazy trope. The truth is, winning creates good vibes, losing kills them. That's it. If Washington were 7-3 instead of 3-7, nobody would be talking about McLaurin's contract holdout or questioning his leadership. They'd be praising him as a veteran mentor guiding a young offense to success. But when things go south, suddenly everyone wants to play psychologist. It's an emotional coping mechanism for fans who don't want to admit their team just isn't good enough yet, and that's the part that stings the most. Because for all the struggles, Washington still has a talented roster. Jayden Daniels has shown flashes of being a legitimate franchise quarterback. The defense has young playmakers who, with the right coaching, could become elite. The potential is there, but potential means nothing without execution, consistency, and stability. McLaurin, of all people, understands that better than anyone. He's been through rebuilds, false dawns, and endless turnover. He's one of the few constants fans could rely on. The player who gave them a reason to believe even when everything else was falling apart. So maybe it's time for a little perspective. Maybe instead of scapegoating McLaurin, fans should remember what he's meant to this franchise over the past 7 years. Remember the clutch catches in meaningless December games when the team was already out of playoff contention, but he still played his heart out. Remember the times he made quarterbacks look better than they really were. Remember that leadership isn't about giving fiery speeches or being the loudest guy in the room. It's about showing up, doing the work, and setting the standard. That's what Terry McLaurin has done from day one. And make no mistake, when he's healthy, he'll remind everyone exactly who he is. The deep roots, the precise footwork, the ability to turn a routine slant into a 40-yard gain, those things haven't gone anywhere. They're just waiting to resurface once his body cooperates. And when they do, all these wild fan theories and social media debates will evaporate like they never existed, because talent and character have a way of silencing noise. At the end of the day, this isn't about one player. The Commanders' issues are systemic, built over years of instability and poor decision-making. The coaching staff is still figuring out its identity. The front office is still laying foundations. And the players are still learning how to win consistently. That's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Pointing fingers at McLaurin because it's convenient won't make that process go any faster. It'll just alienate one of the few players who's actually earned the city's respect. So here's the bottom line. Let's stop pretending Terry McLaurin is the problem. He's not. He never has been. The man has given everything to this franchise: his talent, his effort, his loyalty. He's fought through bad seasons, worse quarterbacks, and the endless carousel of change that defines Washington football. And even now, as he works his way back from injury, he's still there on the sidelines, supporting, leading, caring. That's not a player to criticize. That's a player to rally around, because when this team finally turns the corner, when they start winning again and those vibes magically fix themselves, you can bet McLaurin will be right in the middle of it. And all those fans who doubted him will remember why they loved him in the first place. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Rumors are swirling around the league, and if you're a fan of explosive plays and high-stakes quarterback moves, you're going to want to hear this one. The latest buzz centers on Jayden Daniels, the young quarterback who's been turning heads with his dual-threat capability and his uncanny ability to extend plays in the pocket. Daniels has shown flashes of brilliance, a mix of precision passing and athleticism that's hard to come by. And now, according to insiders, there might be an immediate weapon heading his way that could change the trajectory of his career, or at least the way defenses are going to prepare for him. We're talking about Diontae Johnson, a wide receiver whose name has become synonymous with clutch catches, route-running precision, and the kind of separation that makes defenders look downright silly. The intrigue here starts with Johnson himself, currently without a team. Johnson is one of those players whose availability sends a ripple through every roster in the league. You can almost hear the whispers in locker rooms. Imagine him with a quarterback who can scramble, extend the play, and deliver the ball into tight windows. That's exactly the kind of narrative that's been building around Daniels for months. And now it's heating up to a boil. The combination of Daniels' mobility and Johnson's route running might just be the match that turns potential into headline-grabbing performance. People are starting to speculate about timing, chemistry, and how quickly this duo could gel, and honestly, the possibilities are tantalizing. Behind the scenes, there's talk that the Washington Commanders are quietly monitoring the situation. The Commanders, who have had their share of offensive line struggles and inconsistencies in the passing game, are reportedly exploring every option to maximize their offensive firepower. Diontae Johnson, with his experience and ability to consistently create separation, fits the mold of exactly the kind of weapon they need. Some insiders suggest that discussions have already begun, and while nothing is official, the interest seems mutual. The Commanders know they're in a position to make a splash, and Johnson's availability provides a rare opportunity to pair an elite receiver with a quarterback whose ceiling seems sky high. For Jayden Daniels, this potential pairing isn't just about having another target, it's about a transformation in the way defenses will have to approach him. Daniels has always been a threat to extend plays with his legs, and adding someone like Johnson, a receiver with soft hands, sharp roots, and the ability to break tackles in the open field, changes the whole equation. Imagine the coverage schemes defenders will have to adjust, the safeties who will have to rethink their reads, and the linebackers scrambling to figure out whether to respect the run or drop back into coverage. Daniels' improvisational skills combined with Johnson's route-running precision could create chaos in the secondary, and for a team like the Commanders, that kind of disruption is pure gold. There's also a layer of excitement about what this could mean for Daniels' development. Quarterbacks often need that one reliable target, someone they trust on crucial downs and in high-pressure situations. Johnson has been that player for other quarterbacks in the past, consistently producing big plays even when the coverage is tight. Pairing Daniels with Johnson could accelerate the young quarterback's growth, giving him confidence to make riskier throws and trust that his timing and reads will be rewarded. Analysts and commentators are already speculating about the potential chemistry between these two, suggesting that Johnson's presence could allow Daniels to showcase his full skill set, from deep throws to timing routes that require pinpoint accuracy. Of course, it's not just about on-field performance, there's also a strategic angle here. The Commanders have been trying to reshape their identity, and landing a playmaker like Diontae Johnson could signal a shift in their offensive philosophy. The league is watching, and even a whisper of a deal can send defensive coordinators scrambling to reevaluate their game plans. If Johnson does end up in the mix, Daniels' mobility combined with Johnson's knack for finding soft spots in zone coverage could force teams into uncomfortable decisions, potentially opening up the run game as well. It's a domino effect that could benefit the entire offense, creating mismatches and forcing opponents to rethink personnel packages. Fans, naturally, are already dreaming about the highlight reels. Picture Daniels rolling out of the pocket, eyes downfield, Johnson making his cut, and the ball delivered perfectly into stride for a 30-yard gain. Now imagine that happening consistently, week after week. The hype isn't just for the sake of excitement, it's rooted in the very real potential for an offensive explosion that could rival some of the league's most dynamic duos. Social media has been buzzing, with supporters imagining what the combination of speed, precision, and improvisational ability could do for highlight reels, fantasy football points, and even the team's playoff aspiration. There's also the market factor to consider. Johnson's availability makes him a coveted asset, but it also means any move needs to be carefully timed. Teams are weighing contracts, potential trades, and cap space, and the Commanders are reportedly in a position to act decisively. The narrative is building, and the anticipation is tangible. People are starting to wonder, will this be the off-season shakeup that defines the league's landscape? Will Daniels suddenly have the kind of receiving talent that propels him into the national spotlight? It's the kind of speculation that keeps sports talk shows buzzing and forums alive with debate. Every potential target, every rumored meeting, every subtle gesture in training sessions could be a sign that something big is brewing. Even among players, the buzz is palpable. Imagine the locker room chatter, with veterans realizing a weapon like Johnson could open up the playbook and make every quarterback's job easier. Young receivers might be inspired to elevate their own game, motivated by the arrival of a player who has consistently proven he can win battles against top-tier cornerbacks. For Daniels, the psychological boost could be just as significant as the physical upgrade, knowing that he has a receiver who commands respect and can reliably make contested catches changes the dynamic in a profound way. And let's not forget the media frenzy that will inevitably follow. Rumors, leaks, and speculative reports will dominate headlines. Analysts will break down every possible scenario, comparing Daniels' potential success with Johnson to some of the league's most prolific pairings in recent memory. Social media will explode with gifs, predictions, and hot takes, creating a whirlwind of attention that benefits everyone involved: players, teams, and of course, the fans. The narrative is irresistible: a young quarterback on the rise, a proven receiver suddenly available, and a team that could be on the cusp of making a bold, transformative move. Ultimately, the story is still unfolding. There are no official confirmations yet, but the whispers are growing louder, the speculation more intense, and the potential for a headline-grabbing partnership between Jayden Daniels and Diontae Johnson is impossible to ignore. Whether it materializes with the Commanders or somewhere else, one thing is clear: the league is watching, fans are watching, and if this rumor comes to fruition, it could redefine what Daniels is capable of and position Johnson as one of the most impactful free agents in recent memory. The excitement, the tension, the possibilities, they're all there, simmering under the surface, waiting for the moment when the story moves from speculation to reality. And when it does, the entire football world will be paying attention. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.